Another garden update, folks. We're near the we're third week of August now, so things are starting to come in. You can see the larger tomatoes are coming in. I'm still picking lots and lots of cherry tomatoes. I've probably picked, I don't know, 40-50 quarts so far, and they're still coming pretty good. Green beans are coming pretty good. I've put about 10 quarts in the freezer already, and there's still a lot more to come. And the cucumbers, well, I'll show you them in a minute, but they're just insane this year. So let me just give you a picture of what things look like here. Tomato plants. You can see I got lots and lots and lots of green tomatoes on there. The bigger ones are starting to blush now, and so I'm picking them. And some of these plants here, if I can give you perspective, that's at least 6 feet off the ground. I didn't measure it, but it's taller than me and I'm 6 feet. So as you can see, most of these are pretty close in size. There's some that are shorter, of course, but that the railing there is at least 5.5 feet off the ground. So anything that's above that is greater than 5.5 feet. So that's the kind of growth that the tomato plants have had this year with all the heat and all the rain. And a lot of these are coming. These cucumber vines here are just insane. You can see they're now growing over into the fence, and I've had cucumbers hanging out the other side of the fence. The chickens are standing over there jumping up trying to eat them. We've put so many quarts of pickles away. We don't know what to do with these pickling cucumbers anymore. I'll let some of them grow large, and then she feeds them to the chickens, but it's like, what do you do with all of them? I mean, everybody has them this year, so I hate to just rip the vines out, but we already have about, 40 quarts of pickles, so that's more than we're going to use. So even to give some away, and as you can see here, these tomatoes are doing these are Rutgers, so the plants aren't quite as big as these beefsteak ones, but they're very prolific. You can see the amount of green tomatoes that are on there, and they're coming, so everything's going well with that. I still have some issues here with early blight. I've got some sections here that I've really got to deal with. I've been trying to pick the dead stuff off. I've got to get it sprayed again, but the problem is I need to spray when I'm not going to try to pick fruit right away, and also when it's not going to rain right away and wash the spray right off, or some of it anyhow. So yeah, that's been a problem this year. I'm hoping it's not going to decrease my yield too much. And I also have I don't know if it's a hookworm or whatever. I've got some tomatoes that have holes bored in them by whatever kind of bug or worm that is that's doing it. So I'm not sure what to do about that. Again, I don't want to spray insecticide for fear of killing bees, because we still have some blossoms on here. So there are still some bees and other pollinators coming to the plants. We'll talk about the bad too. Broccoli didn't amount to anything. I got one decent head off. I've got to get different broccoli. I've had a few years now where it'll start to form the head, and then it suddenly goes to multiple headed and seeds right away. I don't have a fully formed broccoli head before that happens. Peppers are doing very well. I've picked maybe half a dozen off of there. They're starting to come now, and they'll be decent. I know there's some weeds in there, but that's all right. I'm all done with my wax beans here. I just need to mow this down or string trim this down. They're done with what they're going to do. And now the green beans are looking really good. You can see the bush growing on top of the trellising here. It's amazing. I've been picking and picking and picking. I just picked one of those big ice cream tubs there. What is that, a 1 gallon or 5 quart? I don't know what the cheap ice cream comes in. I use those. I've been using those. I picked a full one of those last night, and I got 3/4 of one today. And I've got a lot more on there that were just a little too small yet to take. I'll be picking probably at least that much again. So this has worked out the way I wanted it to, excellently. I'm hoping that from year in and year out I can just do this with the pole beans now. It's a whole lot easier to see them. It's a whole lot easier to pick them for sure, because I'm not bending over the whole time. They're almost at eye level, most of them, or many of them. And they still look prolific. I'm still seeing hundreds and hundreds of blossoms on here, so they're nowhere near done. as you can see. And it's been good. The flavor's good in the beans. These are, I think it's Burpee, but I'm not sure. But it's Blue Lake whole beans. Blue Lake variety is a variety of green bean that I do like. They're very prolific. They're firm and they get fairly large and they have a good flavor. So that's my recommendation. But I went with the pole rather than the bush variety, and I haven't been disappointed. So just to show you that. And the jungle here with the onions. I still see some down in there. I've got to pull one or two out and see what I've got under there. I'm guessing there's something there. I just haven't. Oh, there's that little rabbit again. He's been hanging out in here and I haven't been able to get rid of him. Yeah, you. I'm talking about you. I don't have the heart to shoot him. He's just a little one, but he's made his presence known. There are a few tomatoes that have been eaten off. At least this year, as the beans are up in the air, he can't get at them. So, and here, the good news is, you can see most of these tomato plants are now dying, which is the life cycle you want. When these are completely dead and dry, then I'll know the potatoes are basically at their maximum size in the ground and can be harvested. Now, you don't have to pick them right away. If you want smaller potatoes, what they call new potatoes, you harvest them before this happens or right around when they're starting to die. But you can leave the potatoes in the ground even after they're dead. I've done that already. A little bit of waste with that, but if it's easier to do it. You know, now see, these came up a little later. They're still green. And I have some green ones over in here yet that have more growing to do. So what I probably will do, since these were different varieties of potatoes I put in here, what I will probably do is wait until all the plants are dead before I try to harvest anything. That way even the later ones will get to their maximum size. So I'll do a video on that, I'm sure, just to show you how well it did. It's getting a little better this year with the amount of hay that I put down, but still there's too many weeds yet. I gotta put a thicker bed of hay down, I guess, next year. You know, I'm just afraid, quite frankly, I'll put too much hay down and they won't grow. But so far so good. So I can deal with a few weeds here and there. That's not a big deal. But at any rate, let me pause this and then we'll come back and show you the upper. Okay, upper garden. A row of pumpkins, plants anyhow, they're doing okay. But again, I don't think I'm going to get any pumpkins. It's getting too late in the season. I got a lot of blossoms now finally. Do got to get the mower in here again and mow this again. Trying to work around the rain. It's been a bit of an issue. And here was the disaster of the excessive weeds on the nectar sweet corn. Although, as you can see, there are some cobs starting to form. Now, exactly how much I'm going to get out of this, I don't know. It's not going to be what I wanted, but maybe we'll get a meal or two out of them. That nectar sweet corn is so good. I hate to lose any of it, but at any rate, the summer squash, I've pulled a few off of there. It's doing okay, not great, but I'm going to get some more off. It's plenty for what we want. I don't need hundreds of squash. Made the mistake one summer of planting 6 hills of summer squash, and I had so many I didn't know what to do with them. The butternut, again, that's a late season one. Oh, I see there's one growing down in there, a couple growing down in there. That's late season, so that'll be sometime the end of September till I would do any harvesting there. But it's growing okay. I got to get the weeds out of it. And then down here we have the these are the zucchinis. I have picked a few of those off. They've been pretty good. And down there I did planted some spaghetti squash. Whether they're usually late season too, so we'll see what I get out of those. At any rate, and the cucumbers I planted up here have been a waste. Then we have the good corn. This stuff looks beautiful as far as that goes. Even though there are some weeds, it's not bad. This is my Honey Select. You can see it tasseled well, and it's forming nice cobs. It's probably going to be a week or two till it gets ripe. But let me step down in here just to give you an idea. Now, I'm holding the camera at eye level. Let's say that's about as tall as I am. So you can see these tassels are up probably close to 8 feet. And it's almost all the way down the rows that looks like that. Some aren't quite as high, but most of them are at least 6 feet. I think anytime you get sweet corn that grows like this, it's amazing. So the heat, the rain, the amount of fertilizer I did put on all worked out with this. I'll show you probably later some of the harvest with it. It looks like it's going to be a good one, but never know for sure. So, all right, it's starting to rain now. I don't want to get the camera damaged. So thank you for watching. Thank you for our support as we live out in the country on a shoestring. Okay, I'll apologize in advance for the wind if it affects the microphone. I'm adding a supplement to the video that I recorded about a week and a half ago, I think, because there's been a whole lot of progress even since. I just wanted to show you just how much the tomatoes are growing. Still battling the early blight. I sprayed it again a few days ago. I might have to do it again this week. And some are more affected than others, but as you can see, there are all kinds of green tomatoes growing on here. I'm not going to stress too much about the early blight because I think the tomatoes are far enough along that they will ripen. We have about maybe 6 weeks until we hit frost, so by the time these finish growing, that's going to be about it probably. I have lots and lots of cherry tomatoes. They're just going crazy. I thought I was sort of over the hump with them, that you know, that they were going to slow down. I've been picking every day, and yesterday I picked more than I ever have in a day. So so that's what's going on with the cherry tomatoes. You can see you got some others blushing, bigger ones blushing. Let me show you some of the larger varieties here. Sorry if I'm walking too fast here, if it's not quite in focus the way it should be. Here's just what I picked today of tomatoes. You can see those two monsters in there. I'll stick my foot here just to give you a perspective on size as to how big some of those are. And also, green beans are coming pretty good. This is 2 days worth. It's been 2 days since I picked. This is what I picked today off the green bean vines, and they're still coming pretty good. So I'm going to continue to have a great harvest with them. Back to the tomatoes here. Show you some of these other varieties. You can see how some of them are all clustered. And again, I've shown you this before, but that's probably about 6.5 feet to the top of those vines there. And as you can see, I've got this canyon of tomato plants. Down in there you can see there's some big ones. I have some hiding on the right hand side here. They're more beefsteak types. You see the large one growing there. And we've got big ones over here. And they're just really starting to come now. Lots of volume with the size of them, with the amount of rain that we had. I still have significant problems with those cutworms or tomato worms boring little holes in the tomatoes. I'm probably throwing, I don't know, half a dozen or more away every day when I'm picking because they're too far gone. You can see the cherry tomatoes though. Haven't had any trouble with them with the worms. A little bit of trouble with the early blight with them, but they're just exploding. I don't know what I'm going to have to start using them to make sauce with, I guess. We're probably going to do our first batch of sauce tomorrow. I have an entire table full of tomatoes in the house that are ripening, many of which are now ripe. And we'll probably do a video on that, or at some point do a video on some of our sauce production. But we're really getting into it now as far as the garden producing with the weather that we've had. It's a nice sunny day today in the upper 70s. You can see some more of the Rutgers over this way, and some of the others sticking through the cage there. But yeah, we're going to have a great tomato harvest this year, it looks like, again. And my pickling cucumbers are still giving, still growing, still spreading. We're trying to give them away to neighbors now, or friends now, to see if they want to make any pickles, because we're all done. So I just wanted to supplement what I had already shown you because of the growth that's happened since the last video. It's been amazing to me. So again, thank you for liking our page and subscribing. I think we're closing in on about 800 subscribers, which is amazing to me. But I'm thankful for that, and I hope you're all enjoying your life out in the country and doing it on a shoestring. Thanks again.